great basketball.
Defender to the basket, Jason Tatum.
We covering pre and post game back on this channel.
Oof, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back into Celtics Post Game Live. I am your host, Rob Atayan, and I am super excited to get back in here. This is my first post game show of the season. Obviously, we're back finally after a little break, but C's fall short of advancing to 5-2 as they fall to 4-3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road, 114 to 113. Jaylen Brown was the top point scorer for the Boston Celtics tonight. He had 30 points along with 8 rebounds. The Cleveland Cavaliers and Donovan Mitchell did not go away, though, as Donovan Mitchell tagged along a very loud 25.6 assists. Garland, his running mate, at 29 and 12. Justin, like I said, Celtics fall to 4-3. Another disappointing loss in overtime. That was a very winnable game. You're visibly frustrated. You're visibly upset. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about. Justin, give me your first initial thoughts and react to the Celtics falling tonight.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's game, 7. We're 4-3. Cleveland's a very good team. That was a game you should have had. That's a game you did have. That's a game you had back in Boston. And you let both of those go. You let the Chicago game go. I don't know. I'm very frustrated about how the Celtics have been playing. I think offensively they're getting their shots. They're just not falling, and that happens. They're moving the ball. The turnovers kind of haunted the Celtics late, but overall the Celtics turnovers haven't been a huge problem this season. The defense to start off tonight, I mean, it just gave Cleveland such a big boost of momentum to start the game. And then obviously in that third quarter, Cavs went on another huge run, and that happens. Basketball's a game of runs. Tonight was a classic example of that. The Celtics went on their own 16-2 run in that fourth quarter, ended up getting the lead, and then just collapsed in overtime. But I don't know. I'm trying not to overreact too much because Cavs, one, are a really good team, and two, I thought we saw tonight a lot of steps in the right direction as far as defense. But to start the game, the defense was just so bad. And I think a lot what has to do with that is, rebounding the basketball. You close out a defensive possession, rebounding a basketball. The Celtics do not know how to close out a defensive possession yet, and that is a severe problem. That's a huge reason why Cleveland won last week or earlier in the week in Boston. LeVert got this huge offensive rebound, kicked it back out, and hit a three that ultimately helped Cleveland win the game. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah. And to me, this is a team that new head coach had a bench that is a lot of these guys are new. Malcolm Brogdon's new and now, Sam Hauser obviously is just getting elevated to get more minutes. The offense looks great. I think we're getting our shots. I think that the offensive ball here is not too much of a concern or worry to me.
Right.
However, the defense is a problem because we have saw what this team can do defensively. And last year we said if this team can get the offense they need, they could be scary. Well, now we got the offense and they're struggling on defense. And I think that's due to that. Obviously, no Robert Williams in the lineup. That's going to hurt. So, a 4-3 start, obviously it's a better start than last year, right? Last year you started 2-5, you go to 3-5, right? So obviously a better start. In terms of overreacting, I'm not going to push the panic button just yet. However,
it's quite literally like the little things, Rob. Like it's the little things that the Celtics are doing, and they're fixable things.
Boston was up 10 at one point of this game in the third. Obviously, they're down 10 at one point of this game as well. It was a game of runs, as basketball tends to be. However, these losses add up, and we've looked really good at times, and we've also looked bad at times. But I wouldn't say we've looked really bad. I just think that we're making those small mistakes to lose those games.
Right. And first of all, I know we're probably going to dive in and talk about it later, but we mentioned the depth. Malcolm Brogdon these past two games is really, I think, starting to find comfortability within the Celtic uniform. And that was huge at moments tonight for the Celtics because that really halted Cleveland's runs. Was Malcolm Brogdon coming in off the bench, and that gave Boston a tremendous boost. And unfortunately, we couldn't pull it out. But having guys like that to come off your bench and produce those types of minutes, and that's going to be big. But again, I'm trying to focus on some positive things. As frustrated as I am, there are some solid takeaways that we can take away from these types of games. But frustrating one.
For sure. And as we have Ian joining us in the crew, welcome in, Ian. Obviously, Justin and I talking about this tough, frustrating loss. Don't press the panic button yet. Obviously, though, Ian, you know how this thing works. Instant reactions, takeaways from the Celtics 113 and 114 loss in Cleveland tonight.
I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm just annoyed. I don't know what happens. Like half the time they play good defense, and then once the end of the game hits, they just forget how to play defense. I do not get it. It's kind of annoying. I mean, I don't really know what to say. Honestly, I'm just kind of annoyed with the whole thing in general. To be honest.
Yeah.
You would think the momentum would have swung by the end of regulation. Because Tatum dunked on Allen, could have been an and one, could have not been an and one, doesn't really matter. Then he blocks Mitchell. You think, oh, Celtics got this in the bag, right? And then overtime hits, and they just don't look the same. It's just so annoying because this happened last time against Cleveland. It's frustrating.
I do think Cleveland's a really tough matchup for us. Obviously, Mobley and Jared Allen and even Kevin Love present, and even Robin Lopez, who got a couple minutes tonight, they present a lot of size. And Boston is really, really small this year, especially without Robert Williams in the lineup. I think you saw this team thrive when Al Horford was on the court. When Horford checked out, I think you saw this team really struggle. Obviously, Al had the highest plus-minus tonight, plus 11. Tatum, unfortunately, was the lowest with a minus 16. So I think this Cleveland team presents a lengthy matchup for Boston. And obviously, when you got two wing scorers, elite scorers in Brown and Tatum, you're gonna see some inefficient shooting when you got long, lengthy, athletic defenders on you 24/7. When the paint, it's harder to get a shot up. I mean, we saw it several times down the stretch in the fourth quarter with Brogdon driving, would get blocked at the rim by Allen and with Brown and Smart. So I think this Cleveland team is a legit team. We did not get blown out, which obviously that's not the standard. But I do think this is going to take a little while for this team before they really can hit their stride. And that's, due to the fact that we got a brand new head coach. Our head coach is 34 years old. And he's running the show. He's still got to figure out, what's his go-to? What are his schemes going to look like down the stretch? Who's going to get the last shot? Obviously, I'm giving the ball to Jason Tatum, not Jaylen Brown in this instance. But that's just me. And he's got to figure this type of stuff out. Yes, this team has been there before, and they're going to keep being there. However, for the meantime, no Robert Williams, new head coach in town. It's going to take a little bit, and Celtics fans have to be a little bit patient. We're playing good basketball, but not perfect basketball. And perfect basketball is basketball where the Celtics are playing great defense and getting it done on the offensive side of the floor. That is our identity. I think that's the identity we need to get back to. I think we will get back there. It's just about how we can get back there and how fast we can get back there, because you don't want to fall too back behind. I mean, we're still, I think, the 4 seed right now at 4-3. Nothing to worry about. We got a game against Chicago on Friday. So like I said, wouldn't press the panic button, but I do want to talk about the bench. Obviously, Grant and Brogdon have been phenomenal for us, hands down, no question. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't have minded to see Peyton Pritchard out there at some point of this game. Luke Cornett shouldn't touch the court, plain and simple. Case closed. But I do want to talk about, guys. You thought you were going to get something out of Hauser. Hauser has been shaky in the big games. You see these guys compete against the teams like Orlando, and you saw them do really well, against other matchups like Washington and stuff like that. But in the games against Chicago and even Miami and now Cleveland twice, these guys aren't producing like you thought they were going to produce. I mean, we had I think 26 bench points, but they were from two people. I mean, if you get 4 points from Hauser, 6 points from Hauser, you get 6 points from Blake, or you need more scoring. In this game, you win this game if you get a little bit more off the bench. Obviously, Derek White had 3. So, I mean, are you guys concerned about this bench? Obviously, once Robert Williams comes back, Derek White's going to be off the bench, and you're going to be seeing a lot more talent off the bench and scoring. But, does it feel like this team might just be waiting until Robert Williams comes back to really hit their stride?
I mean, it feels like that's what they're doing, but I don't think that's the best plan. I mean, it's just you don't want to have another start like you had last year. You don't want to have to go on a crazy run at the end of the season to make it into the playoffs again. That's just not what you want to do. You want to be a top, 3-4 seed in the East comfortably. It's just like I feel like they're waiting. And the problem is they talked about this on NBC Sports Boston. When Robert Williams was there, he was basically the safety blanket. If the guy got by you, Robert Williams was going to be right there to
clean it up,
attack the shot. He's going to block the shot. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. And that's why the Celtics defense was so good last year. We don't have that, and we don't have anyone that can really be that. Al Horford can try. He's good. He's not Robert Williams, though. We don't have anyone on the bench to really help that. Luke Cornett, he's cool, I guess. He had that one block on Robin Lopez, but 2 minutes of Luke Cornett's really not going to do anything for you. I mean, as much as I know you like Blake Griffin, but we're not going to get anything out of him. At least we haven't seen.
He ain't even playing.
Right now. Yeah, exactly. And like Noah Vonleh, I don't know what happened to him.
He ain't playing either.
Stopped playing. We just completely stopped playing him. And I mean, he wasn't amazing, but it's just I don't really know what you do, and it's just frustrating because we have Brogdon, who's looking amazing. If the Celtics had Brogdon last year, we win the and it's so frustrating because this team is so talented, and like it feels like they keep falling into the same traps that they were falling into last year, and it's just frustrating to watch. I know they have a new coach, and I know it's just annoying defensively because they don't have the same defense and. I don't know. It's just annoying.
I don't think this is the same as last year because
I don't think it's the same as last year. I'm being dramatic on that part. What I'm trying to say is that they can't keep doing what they're doing when it comes to their defense. Like their on-ball defense at the top of the key is it's not as good as it was last year. And when someone does blow by them, they don't have anyone to stop them. So
their pick and roll defense is horrendous.
Their pick and roll defense is terrible.
Well, we're not switching. Have you noticed that? We're not switching everything.
Horford's dropping down for 25 feet. He's socially distancing himself from the freaking defender.
And that really is the root of our defensive problem. But let's just look at this, right? So we start off the season, we open up against Philly, we look great. Miami, we look great. Orlando, look great. 3-0. We drop a game where we looked really bad against Chicago. Plain and simple. We started off on fire offensively, relied too much on our offense. It went to the shits. Lose that game. We lose in overtime the first time to Cleveland in a game where it was very winnable, a defensive collapse in overtime. We got tired.
In my opinion, that game was for me at least, that game was a little bit more frustrating than
Absolutely. Game against Washington, won that one handedly, right? Now, a game against Cleveland, again, a good team. Come in overtime, we lose it in the final seconds of the game. So I'm looking at these games here, and I'm thinking to myself, I haven't seen a loss yet where I'm like, what the hell? I look at Cleveland, I think this is a good team. Both teams gutted it out on national television against a team that we probably could see in the playoffs that could make a deep run. We got a lot of talent. That's the regular season game where you're like, damn, you got to fix this, you got to fix that, but we're on to the next one. We haven't had a game where you're like, oh my God, we've maybe had one half of that against Chicago. and I'd say in overtime against Cleveland a couple nights ago. But, I don't think this Celtics team is in trouble by any means. I think that they're in the early stages of a new coach, and they've played really good teams. But we've also, we beat the Heat, we beat the Sixers. Washington's doing their thing.
Cavs twice.
Yeah, we've been close against the Cavs. We got Chicago for a chance to redeem ourselves back in Boston, where we play them at 7:30 on national television again. And we got the Knicks, so we got some good opportunities, I think, to get our legs back and feet back under us. I don't think we need to panic. I do, however, think we absolutely need to go out and sign a backup big man. I think Dwight Howard, we should be on the next flight to Boston, because Luke Cornett and Blake Griffin and Noah Vonleh are not serviceable big men in games like these. They will be serviceable against the Magic and the Wizards and
nights where Robert Williams and Al Horford should be getting their rest.
Exactly. Right. But now what you have done is you have made it so Al Horford has to play 35 minutes in these types of games. Come April, old Al, who's 36, he looked great tonight at times, 12 and 12. He's going to be tired. So you got to get these guys, these big men, you got to get them some more talent. And there's some good options still on the table. In Dwight Howard, what he brings with the rebounding and defensive, that's huge. And I think if there was one thing that I'm worried about, is that Brad Stevens isn't going to make a move for a big man. He's going to roll with this rotation of Luke Cornett and Blake Griffin. And if that's the case, it could get really ugly.
That's the thing. Like, these guys aren't even and I'm not it's not that I'm defending them at all, but at the same time, these guys aren't even getting used. Like Noah Vonleh, he had a great preseason, a relatively decent first couple of games, but he's not getting used. We signed Blake Griffin. I get Blake Griffin was supposed to be like a replacement to give Horford these minutes. Well, guess what? Not only is Noah Vonleh not getting used, but Blake Griffin isn't getting used. And guess what? They're using Luke Cornett for 2 minutes, and even he's not big yet. So it's like these guys aren't serviceable big men for the minutes that maybe Brad is expecting them to play, but they're not even getting playing time, and it's just not working. And again, a lot of these problems, a lot of these issues that I see with the Celtics are solely rebounding. Like they're an aggressive team, they're getting in the paint, but they can't grab rebounds for shit. They can't grab rebounds for shit, and that leads to second chance points. Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, who else was on the friggin' court? Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. Like, these guys killed the Celtics for 2 straight games simply because they got offensive rebounds. And that's going to be an issue for the Celtics. And that's why they got to figure this out now. It's not a huge problem, like a season-ending problem, but you can't wait for Robert Williams to get back 2 to 3 months from now. You simply cannot do that.
I think the other problem is, and I might be overreacting a little bit just because it's just another loss this way. They're not a bad team. They're not as bad as they were to start the year last year. It's just, I don't want them to fall into a similar thing to where they're around 500 at the All-Star break. I just don't want that to happen again.
Right.
And that means you need to get off to a strong start.
For sure, but I don't think we're playing 500 basketball though.
I don't think we are either. It's just the circumstance. It is what it is right now, and the issues just happen to be the issues that every single team that we've played and we've lost against have been able to exploit. And it's just kind of annoying. I mean, and even I don't know. I think we need a guy like Dwight Howard, like Hassan Whiteside, like someone that is basically just known for rebounding, and that's pretty much it. You just need freedom. Don't even get me started.
Don't even say that name on it. Never ever say that again.
So look,
you just need you have no size. I mean, isn't Tatum you have Luke Cornett obviously, but he doesn't play. So the tallest person that actually plays is either Tatum or Al, and they're 6'10". That's not going to stop Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. It's just
the Cavs have what the Celtics have.
Exactly. The Cavs had what the Celtics need, man. It's just it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I mean Tatum did the best he could. obviously he could have done a little more offensively, but I mean, he had 12 rebounds in this game, and so did Al.
I'm like I said,
like,
I don't hate
ugh.
last year it was the effort wasn't there, the defense wasn't there, the offense wasn't good enough for the defense not to be there as much as it wasn't being there. And and they just didn't look good. The Celtics look good. Cleveland's a good team, plain and simple. They got a lot of depth, good coaching, young talent, and they're big. Celtics got a lot of depth, good coaching, young team, a lot of talent, but they're not big. And size, I guess you could, size matters in the sense of, when you're looking at an NBA game. So, I mean, like I said, I can't be mad that we lost this game. I'm frustrated for sure, hands down. Am I concerned that this could go downhill fast? Absolutely not. No question. Is there that little thing inside of me from a little bit of PTSD from last year that gets me nervous? Totally. But these guys have been there. I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet by any means. And that's that. I mean, once Robert Williams is back, we'll be fine.
See, like, there are zero, like, look, Milwaukee, Cleveland, these guys are going to be there, right? But we look at the standings and, we can't panic about a 4-3 start when we have teams like Chicago, Philly, Miami. Let's see, some teams out west, the Clippers, the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Warriors, like maybe the Lakers. But, like, these teams aren't going to be in the positions that they're in come the end of the season. The Golden State's 12th, Dallas is 11th, Miami is 9th, Philly is 8th, Chicago is 6th. Like, Chicago,
Utah is 6-2. Like,
Utah's 6-2. Oklahoma City, which I love there, but they're also 4-3. Like, Portland's 5-1. Like, Portland might be a good playoff team, playing team, but they're not going to be at the top 3 seed. Like, it's way too early to panic. The Celtics problems, like, I don't even know how to put this, weighted compared to last year. We're light as a feather. Compared to where we were a year ago today, we are as light as a feather. The problems 7 games in are nowhere near as concerning as they were a year ago today. But again, it goes back to the rebounding for me, and I've said it a million times. Like, we can't sit here and wait for Robert Williams. And again, like Ian said, I'm a little scared that maybe that might be what Brad Stevens doing, but we'll see, because this clearly this front office has taken a huge turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the other thing is, and this is no disrespect to any like Luke Cornett or anybody, but I feel like we're putting our trust in the wrong kinds of players. Like, I mean, Luke Cornett on paper, you think would work with this team. He's not aggressive enough to play as many minutes. He's not good, obviously, but even when he plays, and he plays okay, he's not aggressive at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he played okay in that Wizards game, but that was basically because he had to. And even when he had chances to just go up and finish, he just wouldn't. And it's just kind of frustrating. So, I mean, I know Brad Stevens loves Luke Cornett, and he's not going to get rid of him. But, I mean, if you could sign someone that actually knows how to play center, just so the Celtics have someone who knows how to rebound, just sign him to a 10-day. Just do something, please, because, I mean, I know, and it's like, obviously, the Celtics are still a good team. Tatum and Brown are still amazing. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, maybe we're just focusing too much on the negatives here, but it just feels like with us, it just feels like we just don't want to see another thing like last year happen. So we just automatically think of the negatives.
We're definitely not. But I think Justin makes a great point. There are some really good teams in a lot worse positions right now than Boston. Of course, anytime. But I'm not gonna panic. I look at us with 4-3.
I'm all right.
I think we haven't played. I think we've touched the surface a little bit of how good we can be. But if we can get this defensive ship rolling, then we'll be absolutely set. Like, hands down,
Oh,
no question.
if we could play consistently like we did in that first half against Chicago or that first quarter, oh my Zeus, we are
Yeah,
like if we could just get a consistent 48 minutes of the first 12 minutes of that Chicago game, we are like we know what this
yeah.
team can do. Like that
And
wasn't luck.
you-
this team is skilled from 1 to
you gotta
15. We
you
know
gotta
we
think
can.
about it. Like last year, obviously, right? You're rolling in with no Robert Williams. Last year, we were so good on defense. Obviously, our coaches changed too. You were so good on defense that you had it embedded in your mind: defense, defense, defense. Right?
Right.
You rely on your defense. Obviously, the coaches changed. Missoula has been saying he wants to play a faster pace of basketball. The pace goes up. Now you're thinking in your mind, oh my God, look how good offensively we are now. With Brogdon, they're almost forgetting about this, how good they can be on defense. In
Right.
defense, if you can hold your opponent to under 100 points, you saw what happened on how many games you can win last year with Boston. So I think once Boston finds their identity again, fully, they haven't fully lost it, but once they get back to that, what they can do on defense, I think they'll be in a much better position. I also think it's new to them to learn how to play both sides of the ball as good as they can. I think it's so easy when your offense is rolling to say, oh, well, screw this. We don't need to play defense. I'm knocking down every shot I take. And I think when your offense is really struggling, it's really easy to say, all right, let's buckle down and get a stop. But I also think it's really easy to roll your eyes and throw up your arms and say, screw this. I'm not playing defense. So we got to figure a couple things out. It starts Friday night at 7:30 on ESPN against Chicago. Catch us back here on postgame for Celtics postgame live. It feels so good to get back. We'll be here consistently. Seamus should be joining us next show, I believe. You'll follow us on social media to get your updates there. But however, guys, Celtics, like I said, 114 a 113 loss. I'm Rob. Next to me is Ian, and below me, Justin. We will see you guys in the next one.